Hi guys, Super Secret Tech here, and I wanted to do just a weekend update, essentially of how the build's going and what I have changed from the initial play around of this. So you're gonna notice I have two new uniques. So I have a brass dome, just 4-linked. So my damage has gone down versus running the 6-link, but it's for a very good reason. And then I'm also running the pillar, which is a dirt cheap. I paid 1C for this. The enfeeble is really, really good for the initial compaction in the Scourge League, because like everything spawns at once. You hit Blade Blast, like 1 out of every 5 mobs is enfeebled. You hit Bladefall, then you hit Blade Blast, then like 50% of all the mobs are enfeebled, and then if they aren't just dead, you hit Bladefall again and then Blade Blast again, and it's essentially like 100% chance for anything that can survive more than like 1 or 2 hits. So if you get like a really tanky pack, it makes them all enfeebled with 80% increased effect, which means it's easier to survive. The other thing is we have got Omega Armor now, and we have Armor Flask. So when we hit Armor Flask, we're at like 44,000 armor, which is over 75% reduction at like tier 16. And I'm on like tier 9-10 maps right now. I no longer have a mana flask because I have a Shaper Ring that has +3 mana gain for each enemy hit by your spells, which is enough to sustain us. Then most of this and this is the same, and so is this and this. I changed my ring out for Dex, Fire Damage, and Life Ring, and I got new gloves to cap my missing resistances. My Chaos Res is not almost capped like it was. I'm down to 4% Chaos Res, but with the significant increases in armor, it's fine, and I still need to 20 quality these gloves. Still using my Krangled Butcher Knife. I do want to replace that hopefully pretty soon, and get a better rolled weapon. And then still using, I replaced basically the mana flask with the Granite Flask, and it has 46% armor on it, which is pretty good. As far as like tooltip numbers, I'm at 7,000 here, 9,000 here. You'll see it has big swap ups. That is from the this Ascendancy. Every 4 seconds you get 100% of your physical damage as extra fire damage. I went ahead and got my Uberlad done. So I have that 25% chance to ignite, 15% fire res. The other thing that is a little different than what I had in my links is I dropped a awakened burning damage. So because I'm not running a full 6-link here, I am going to take effect of the burning damage, so I'll get a little bit of ignite and burn stuff. And I also have and I also need to get this one of these two, as recover 2% of life when you ignite a non-ignited enemy, because that's a lot of survivability. And then the other one is probably going to be 1% increased fire damage per 20 strength. Now, the one thing I will say about equipping the brass dome is my life went down. I was at like 4,500 life. I went down to barely under 4,000. But I am so much significantly tankier with this on that I'm fine with it. Now, if you notice, I'm going to have a new POB with this. And in the POB, it's going to have a current tree and a current gear section, as well as still the in-game stuff. Really, the only thing that we need to change on the in-game tree to still make it viable, if you don't want to go brass dome and if you don't want to go a shield, is you basically need a Granite Flask. So you don't have to go as deep as I am right here. The Granite Flask might not be 100% necessary, but at this point, with the mechanic, what I've been able to figure out is that it's mainly fizz with a little bit of fire. So the fire part, we already have pretty well covered because we're a chieftain. So the main element that we need to worry about is the fizz, and luckily Brass Dome kind of helps us solve both of those simultaneously, because it gives us not only really high armor values, but it also gets us way overcapped on fire res. So we're at 81 fire res instead of 75 or 76 with barbarism. So we're quite a bit up from what most builds would be at this point on all res. Now, as far as auras, I am running Determination and Herald of Ash. You can, like, if you'll see, I have these kind of on a swap tab. So if I'm going to do just a boss, I'll do that, and then I'm having Skitterbox for the freeze and shock. Otherwise, I have Herald of Ash. I didn't make a tree without these nodes. I have not had a chance to play around with these, but this is in a really good state where I feel very comfortable recommending, like, okay, hey, if you can get your armor at like 80-ish, you're probably gonna feel fine. And knowing that this is not a high level flask, this is a level 38 Granite Flask. So, and this is basically a bottom roll on it, so it can go up to 50. The top roll, I believe, now goes up to like 64% or something like that. But even like 64% increased armor is massive, especially with the flat added onto it. This is basically, that flask is basically a walking determination, because determination is going to be a flat of 1800 and then 49% more armor. So if we take this off, let me, we'll just zone to guild hideout so I can get flash charges back. Just to kind of give you an idea. So we're at 1600 armor, hit the Granite Flask, we're at 2400 armor. That puts you at 80. So you can go with just that amount and it's probably fine. I am still going to run determination, at least for the time being. And then once I get, so really the weak link in my setup is the boots and the belt. So I really want to get a Vanguard belt because that has flat armor on it, and I really want to get an armor base boot that has similar mods to this, other than the fire res. I don't care about the fire res or the evasion rating. But if I can get like double armor life, cold light, or yeah, armor life, like flat armor life, move speed, cold lightning, chaos would be like optimal. It doesn't necessarily have to be those exact rolls, but just something along those lines where I can have like around 400 base armor here. That's when I would probably consider dropping determination. But that's more of a personal preference thing. I really don't like dying in the mechanic, and the mechanic is rewarding. So I want to be able to basically live in it. And this works really well. Like I've even killed one of the Scourge bosses once I swapped over to the Brass Dome and this shield. The other thing to keep in mind is this shield does still at least give us some flat damage. It does have 15 to 30 fire damage to spells. It's not a lot, but it's also high life. It has almost 100 life on it, which is nice. This is still old. This is still old. This is still old. This is still old. So all of those are very easy upgrades at some point down the road. I just got kind of carried away of trying to fix the Krangle Verse problem. And then I am working on Krangling wands. I have basically Profane Wand, platinum daggers, and I have the Void Scepter, I think it is. It's like the highest like raw elemental damage scepter. I have those 3 only on my various. I've changed my filter to have those and then jewelry and like Vanguard belts on it. Because I've noticed most of the stuff just isn't worth picking up from the rare drops on the ground. The other interesting thing about the Krangler is you can put a white item in here and it will turn it rare. So if you have a, like, I wouldn't do it with like a hunter base or anything like that, but if you have like just a random like I-80, like high eye level base that could potentially be good, but you don't want to mess around with it, throw it in this thing and just see what happens. It's fine. You may want to socket and link it because it's more likely to stay socketed and linked. But that's 100% up to you. But I hope this really does help. You don't have to go this crazy though. I mean, this shield is really good for the cost. It's a lot of armor, it's a lot of life, and 25% chance to enfeeble is very, very good. It also gives you that extra fire damage, physical damage converted to fire. That way you don't have to go Avatar of Fire for once we're running like a Wave of Conviction. So that's another option as well that it does, where you have like a little more playroom if you don't want to go Avatar of Fire, but Avatar of Fire is just fine too. But yeah, I hope this was informational and helpful. And if you have any questions, feel free to ask. I try to be pretty responsive with everything and check a couple of times a day. But anyways, I will have the Path of Building link below. I hope you're all having a good experience. And I will see you in Scourge. Have a great one, guys.